I'm here. I'm here.
We are all present and accounted for. Good evening, everyone, and welcome to Sisters for Harmony. We've been having a harmonious time backstage
Technology.
with technology, trying to get it together. Edna done disappeared on us because
No, no, no.
she done gone out the light. I'm gonna take her off till she get it. Brother Moja had to handle the phone call. We done had all types of stuff. But look, we are who we are, and we have showed up, and we gonna shake a tambourine because Ruby has made it back to
So
the show. She has had all types of stuff happen since the last time y'all have seen her. So welcome back,
Yes.
Ruby.
good
Oh,
to
thank
see
you. Thank
you.
you. You too. Thank you. It's good to be back.
Yes, yes. And welcome everyone in the chat room. Thank you for joining us. If you can put in there where you are joining us from, we appreciate
Mhm.
it. And we just thank y'all for joining us tonight. And it looks like Brother Emoja is back in
Car-
action. Yes, babe, you're back up and we're live. So, all right. Well, Brother Emoja, you know I always turn to you to open us up properly.
After you turn me off, now you turn me back on.
Oh, baby, I always turn you on.
No,
All
you
right,
don't.
let's keep this clean, okay?
This
Professional.
is family friendly. Okay, all right. For those who are watching and don't know, that is my husband. So,
Who's your husband?
you.
Ooh,
Me.
Oh, okay, it's that kind of show. All right,
Okay.
I'm going
All
back to
right,
I'm going back to St. Lucia.
come on.
the
Go
devil is
ahead.
a liar.
All right, Brother Mojo, open us up because we got a lot to talk about tonight.
Oh boy. Well, first and foremost, we want to greet everyone in the name of God and our ancestors, in whose footsteps we most humbly walk. We are here to share and enjoy and empower the global community with some information, and we hope that you are with us and you take this journey with us. Amen.
Mhm.
Amen. Amen.
Amen. All right.
Man.
He added a twist. All right, everyone. For those who are new to the show, please make sure you have something to capture some notes, whether it is a pen or paper, an open tab, or even a voice recorder, because we are going to say something. Someone's going to say something tonight that is going to inspire you, empower you, inform you, and activate a thought or more inside of you to help you live your greatest life. So we are thankful for you joining us. And tonight we are really talking about celebrating us. So many times we look for other people to tell our story, but it is so important that we own our story and that we tell our story. And we have had the opportunity to learn about more people's stories in the past several years. We've been able to celebrate a more full history as more information has come forward. But we also have to recognize that we are adding to the story as well. And so many times we carry our own story inside of us and only share snippets of who we are and how we got here. And in our current world, we have begun to recognize the power and the importance of representation. It's always been important, right? But now we have a word for it, and it is called representation. And we at Sisters in Harmony are dedicated to empowering, uniting, educating, and mentoring women and people across the globe. And one of the ways in which we do that is recognizing that we are interconnected and sharing our stories, because it is through shared story that many times we feel that sense of empowerment. Ruby, I met Ruby years ago, goodness, 2011,
Wow.
September of 2011 is when we first met. And I met her as an author. And it was so nice to meet another author. I was a fresh author at that point. I had many, and Ruby had what I think two or three books at that time.
Two.
Two,
Mm-hmm.
and which two? It was Survivors, and was Yap Yap around?
Mm-hmm. It
Okay.
was. Yeah. That was the first one.
Okay. And then she had this big old thick book. And I was just like, wow. And she had talked to other people and compiled all of these stories together. And I was so fascinated. And Brother Amoja had invited me. That's when he was Brother Amoja. That was before he was my husband, y'all. And so he had invited me to participate on an author's panel as a fresh author of The Greatest Soul Journey at that time. That was my first book and my only book. And I had done an author's panel somewhere else, and the person said, "You have to meet the president of Sisters in Harmony," gave me his business card. And that's how I became affiliated with him in August of 2011. And he said, "I'm having an event in Philadelphia, ironically, in September of 2011. And would you be interested in being on an author's panel?" And like I said, at that point, I was fresh. I had no idea, I was learning the author's journey. And he said, "My vice president, Ruby Burke, is an author, and basically she'll be leading it." And so just even that power important. There was only one other author I knew at the time, and Ruby was number two. And here I had this privilege of now knowing two Black female authors. So I knew it could be done. And she wrote, it was a different genre than mine, but nonetheless, she represented for me. So I know I've never said that to her, and this is the first time she's hearing it. But it is a part of my story. And so, Ruby, I want to pass the mic to you in this moment, so people can hear your voice, because you just, like I said, a lot of stuff has happened since the last time we saw you. And so we're very excited to have you back. And I just like you to share a little bit about who you are, why Sisters for Harmony, why being an author, whatever you want to share. Just take, just a few minutes.
Well, okay, I have a funny story, and Brother Yamoja is not going to like it, but it's a funny story about, it was the Michael Basin show. And so we were all on there, and it was like a networking thing. And he was trying to talk to people into coming and doing a poster. And for me, female, coming to, where were you at? PA, Philly?
The shit
And
was taking place in Philly, but I lived in New Jersey.
yeah, and I was like, oh no, I'm a woman. I'm not. I will not be coming to Philly for a photo shoot. And so he put me in touch with this lady who lived in Alexandria, and we figured, power in numbers. So we rode there together, and it actually was a photo shoot. And I I I was fascinated. I had never met a photographer, and it was something that my son wanted to do. And so just his dream became mine, because I wasn't comfortable being on a poster and taking pictures and everything, but I was put at ease because it was just so many different people there, and everybody just enjoyed themselves and had a really good time. So that's how I became a member of Sisters in Harmony. So that's it.
And being an author, where did that come from?
Well, I used to tell stories at my kids' school, and I had the story Yap Yap, and Yap Yap the talking horse. So I used to tell the story, and someone said, "You should turn that into a book." And of course, many years later, I decided, okay.
Mm-hmm.
And that started, but I've always loved to write. In school, elementary school, I'm writing an essay, write 2 words, and mine is 500 words. So I've just always loved to write. So that's where that came from.
She
And
doesn't take
actually,
instruction.
actually, Sisters in Harmony, the book Survivors came from Sisters in Harmony. Brother Yamoja was doing a poster called Survivors, and because of my limited thinking and understanding at that time, and I was saying, well, that doesn't make you a survivor because you walked across the street and didn't get hit by a car. And he had me understand that there are different ways and different levels to how people feel about themselves being a survivor. And so that prompted me to do the book, Survivors. And I just talked to some of the women who were on the poster, and they agreed to do the book.
Do you remember how many stories or how many people you ended up speaking to and how big the book became?
Yeah, it was 20 stories of women who had survived different challenges.
Such as?
Such as one lady, she dealt with the police force and they killed her son. So she talked about that. And another lady, she got struck by lightning, I think twice.
Wow.
So she was a survivor. I don't know if you remember that story.
Yeah, I remember.
Yes. And stories about domestic violence and abuse and things like that. Yeah.
And you ended up doing Survivors 1 and Survivors 2. It ended up being a 2-book series, right?
Well, it didn't yet. I'm almost finished with the second one, but the first one, I had no clue as to what I was doing, and I paid all this money. And then someone read it and said, "Oh, this is pretty good for a first book. You have a lot of errors in there." I was like,
Oh,
errors.
goodness.
So I was like, let me actually read this book. And it was horrible. I was like, why didn't anybody say anything? So I had to get it done again. So.
Well,
Yeah.
thank you. I mean, I love that because it didn't, even though you didn't know, you still went through and did it, right? And that there's power in the process and we learn from it. So
Yes.
let's pop one down here to Madam Edna. Edna, do y'all remember that chair used to be something like reintroduce yourself right on? So go ahead. Go ahead.
Well, let's see. How did I come to be a part of Sisters in Harmony?
Thank your husband.
Yes, I was voluntold, I think. Actually, Edmund and my husband were in this long, drawn conversation at an event, and I was sitting there trying not to fall asleep and I was trying to be attentive. I was tired, okay? It was a long day. And at some point, Edmund asked me a few questions, and the next thing I know, he's calling, asking me to be a part of this radio show, and I inadvertently agreed to it without thinking about it.
That's how he does. That's how he gets you.
Dr. Robinson said, "Yeah, I think that's how I got too."
I was going to say, I think it's a perfect match with you two because
yes. You know, and not to say what Dr. Walls would do to you, okay? But and he said, "Oh, you know, it'll be a few shows, da da da." So a few shows turned to 10 shows.
10 years later.
2 years, and 2 years evolved to 10.
And traveling
with Ruby. We're doing events together. Had me up there. I'm like, what? So Dr. Walls interviewing me, and I saw that interview recently. I'm like, oh my God, they need to take this down. Oh,
I gotta look for that one.
The things that I've been subjected to.
But again, to the point, and this is what I hope our listeners, one of the things that our listeners are taking away is that the fear didn't stop any of you, right? That the support was there, the encouragement was there. And I think that's one of the things that we have to remember about ourselves. And I was recently talking with someone and they said that they saw in a study the power and the importance of community. I mean, we naturally know it, but that people actually, there are certain groups of people that actually thrive in community and are more successful when in community. And so, right, there's that encouragement that I'll hold your hand through it, because it's amazing now, as Edna talks about, you know, at first she was hesitant to be on the Blog Talk radio show. She was highly resistant to doing videos.
Mhm.
To
We're
now,
still working on that part.
I mean, but now you're sending videos without even being asked.
Yes.
And for anybody who's had a chance to interact with Edna, real quick, Edna, please remind people of the work that you do.
I am a functional food nutritionist, health and wellness advocate. And that all came to be because, well, it started with my younger son being diagnosed with attention deficit disorder. And I tried to, be the good mom, and I went through the conventional way. And I just didn't like the results of the therapy or the treatment. So my granny, who was already a vegetarian at the time, told me, that I need to start, changing our diets and using supplements. And of course, at that time, I was young, going to college, mom of three, I already knew what to do. And so I just continued to ignore her for a while. And then eventually I realized she may know what she's talking about. And that's what I did, change everything and put him on supplements, and he started thriving. And then needless to say, years later, I was diagnosed with cancer once and twice and a third time. And each time the Lord blessed me to go through each case without chemo or radiation. By me just changing my diet, using supplements, and definitely trusting in the Lord. So my journey started with me trying to be a good mom and make decisions for my child. And that led to me helping myself heal as well.
Yeah. Yeah. And again, go ahead, Dr. Ramantar. You look like you got thoughts, questions, comments.
No, every time I hear Edna's testimony, I'm just amazed at the power of God. Honestly, it's amazing.
Yes.
Thank you.
Yeah. And again, right, just the power and importance of sharing the story. I just think about the time that we're in now, right? To be able to sit up here and have this conversation globally. We have people joining us from all over the world. Whereas before we would have had to wait for someone to invite us into their TV studio, onto their radio station
Right.
to share our story and hope that it reached certain people. Whereas now we can create our own table. We can, pull up our own chairs. We can invite who we want, right? These are things that we have to make sure that we're taking advantage of. One of my statements is take advantage of your advantages, right? And it is an advantage for us to be able to share our stories and for people to participate in them, right? For people to be inspired and encouraged by them. Brother Emoji, you are the link in this space. You are the one who has brought all of us together,
Yes.
honestly. So I'm going to ask you, one, what is that like for you to realize this? And then also, I want you to share some of your story. And I just say some of it because your story is really extensive. And usually it only gets plucked and opened when certain people ask certain questions. Luckily, I know what questions to ask.
Well, good evening, everybody. You guys are funny. No, but the truth of the thing, I think, for where we are right now, the roots or the main root came in March of 2005 when my mom made her transition. In that, it took me back home to bury her. I had to go back to St. Lucia to bury her. And the whole process, I realized that I'm being called to do certain things. And so when my mom made her transition, I was like, she's making space for me to step in to do something. I was already a photographer, and people don't know, but when I was a little boy back in the 70s, my mom gave me a camera. And soon after that, I met Gordon Parks Jr., who's the chef. And all he did was just look at me, smile, and walk out the room. And I tell people, that's why I take my time with young people, because I knew what that did to me. It made me very curious of who is this man? He looked so cool. What was this in his hands? So forth and so on. And it took me down that road, and my mom gave me a camera. So in 2005, when my mom made her transition, it took me to a place where I started to revisit projects I had already done. And the first project I revisited was Sisters in Harmony, the poster Sisters in Harmony. And for some reason that has touched me, that the power of women. I never really thought about it, but the power of women. And then so I started looking, and then Michael Basin, the radio personality, had a show on Mingle City, and all these women were calling in, and they wasn't calling the net, they just calling, doing their thing. But I was like, when God gives you something, it's for you. So I started calling, and I wanted to network with these women, and one of them was Ruby. And so that's what, it was very challenging for me to try to network with the women, because they were calling for something and I was calling for something else. Stop laughing, Ruby. And so, but I was focused on what the assignment God had given me. Mm-hmm. And I kept on going, and eventually it caught on. Mm-hmm. And so for me, if people are listening, people who are listening, is that I always tell people, when God gives you something, it's for you. And I go from that perspective even now, where we are right now, from Sisters in Harmony to Sisters for Harmony, where I knew it was time for me to step back from being president and just stay on the board but not be president anymore. Because what I had to do with the project, with Sisters in Harmony, I think God has set it up. God gave it to me. I did what I was supposed to. It was time for me to pass it on to somebody else. It was time for the women to take control and do what they do so well. I just stay in the background and I help where I can. And I truly believe that if we all do that, I think we'll be able to accomplish much more. Mm-hmm. So for me, Sisters for Harmony right now is at a point where it should be, and it's getting bigger. And I'm just happy just to sit back and watch what's going on, what you guys are doing with it.
It's interesting that you say that. So I was in a meeting last night, and I was talking about the evolving nonprofit, and I was saying how you started out as president and what your role was in establishing foundation guidelines and the origin story of it. And then looking at the social climate of where we are now, looking at what the needs are of what we are, who we are as a society, and how best to meet those needs, and in that choosing to step back. Mm-hmm. And I think we're forever evolving and shifting the way in which we do things. And with that, Dr. Ramantal, I want to get your voice in here so you can reintroduce yourself to our audience about who you are, how you got into nursing, why you chose to get into nursing, but then also the pivot to this medical tourism piece.
Yeah, thank you. So there's a lot of pivots. I never wanted to be a nurse, but my mother's a nurse and has always said, you should become a nurse. And I said, I don't like the sight of blood. There's no way. But I was involved in international relations for quite some time, maybe over a decade, where I worked with nonprofits who worked with governments in the Caribbean and Latin America. And I was like the one to bridge them together to help improve social and economic issues and situations. So I love that work. I absolutely loved it. But then one of my brothers unexpectedly passed away from something he didn't even know he had, a heart condition. Wow. And it left me kind of reevaluating my life, saying, okay, I'm helping people and I enjoy it, but there's more. There's more. And I wanted to know what this more was. Yeah. And so through my healing process and grieving, I decided I wanted to investigate what happened to him and hopefully help prevent others from experiencing what me and my family went through. And that's what led me to nursing. I went into nursing and I came out and was in the emergency room. And I said, okay, this is where I'm going to make impact, and never would have thought from not liking blood to being in an emergency room where you see it all the time.
I'm saying.
I don't know. But I said it has to be God, because I enjoyed it. It was organized chaos, but I loved it. But it was not as impactful to me as I felt it could be to help families. I felt like education was important, about whatever people were coming in with. If I could find a way to impact that. And it just sort of led me through a number of different clinical roles, case management and other things, education. I taught nurses. But once I got into IT, information technology, just from switching over from one electronic medical record to another, and I said I'd be a super user, someone who volunteered to learn the most so I could share it with my colleagues. And that's what helped me get into health IT. And the reason I did that was I saw how quickly doctors and nurses were able to use technology to help sort of streamline their workflow and do things faster and more efficient. And it allowed them to spend more time with the patients. For me, that was really the key. It was not, oh, I love technology. It was, wow, this thing allowed you to spend more time, quality time, listening to your patient, engaging with your patient, and figuring out a way together to hopefully improve their wellness. And a lot of that, to me, is about the community that you mentioned. So yes, I'm still in health IT, but I'm going on my second year of my YouTube channel, Medical Tourism RN, where I decided to educate Black women on any aspect of healthcare if they decide to seek healthcare abroad. And the reason I did that was because in the emergency room where I worked in Miami, I saw nothing but Black and Latino women coming in for a number of different things. But what struck me was that a lot of them left the country to do surgery. A lot of it was cosmetic surgery, and it came back where they were botched. And I was just like, there was no recourse. They didn't even know if the doctor was a doctor, all those things. And I said, if no one's listening, then I will be the voice. And that's really what led me to start my channel. I said, well, if I can educate them on what you need to know, because there are specific things that affect Black women that don't affect many other people. And some of these people are going to countries where they barely see Black people, much less treat them. So I figured that would be it. But community, one of my favorite quotes when it comes to health and wellness is from Malcolm X. When I is replaced with we, even illness becomes wellness. And I love that quote. And I think it's descriptive of what I try to do. Build a community to educate, inform, and for me to even learn too, but to share so that hopefully Black women, wherever we go, and Black people, I'll be honest, because a lot of the information I share is applicable to Blacks on a whole, but there are some things that are specific to Black women, and that's what I try to focus on.
Yes.
It's been 1 year since you and I have been doing this together. Last February was when you guys invited me on.
Really?
All right.
Tambourine.
Where's the tambourine?
Right here. Wait,
Here.
we're going to add the lights. I don't know if y'all can see the lights blinking. And we also want to somebody done come up over 1,000 followers.
Yes,
Go
thank you,
on.
thank you. Hey, that was a big, big deal. Thank you. I tried so hard. I said, you know what? It's just up from here. That's it. And I thank you for your support, for your collaboration, for your inspiration, or for all of the things that you guys are doing. And trust me, in a little less than 2 months, Brother Ed, you will not have to be hounding me via email. I will be ready for everything. I just have some mountains that I'm climbing here. As soon as I get over these mountains, don't worry.
I want to correct you on one thing you said, Dr. Ramatol. You said I tried to do. You're not trying. You're doing it.
Right.
Take try out of your. Would you please take try out of your vocabulary, because what you're doing, is putting pebbles together, and you're going to have a mountain, because it's so important. Because when I first met you on social media, I told my wife about you. I said, "We got it. This is really cool." Not knowing you were married to a Lucian, so I was like. Wait a second. That was just a caveat. I was like, but what you're doing, you're not trying, you're doing it. You really need this, because the words we use are so powerful. You're not trying, you're doing it. You are doing it. You got over 1,000 followers now. You are rocking, girl.
Thank you. I will do that. I will take that try.
Thank you. Please do.
And that's 1,000 just on YouTube. you have followers on Instagram, you have
Yep.
followers on TikTok, and they not all the same people.
They're not. Thank you. I was
So you're
like, thank
doing
you.
it. You're
Yes,
doing it.
no, I am excited about it. I have such a passion for it. It's not work. And now when I
Mhm.
hear people say,
Mhm.
oh, when you love something, it's not work.
Yeah.
I don't care how tired I am from the 9 to 5. I love this.
Yes.
See,
Do it
Dr.
Yes.
Walls, you
Yes,
said you asked
darling.
me, and see, for me, sitting back, I watched some Ruby, someone who didn't want to take pictures and so on. And when I met Ruby, she wasn't even traveling. I don't know, she had a passport, and now she's all over the place. I don't
But
know
wait,
what.
let's clarify that. Ruby, did you have a passport when y'all met in
Nope,
2009?
I sure did not.
Are you serious?
And I can't stop. We had
I
to,
mean, we
I had
can't
to
even
drag.
find her.
Yeah, I had to drag her to St. Lucia. I had to drag her to California. I had to drag her to Dallas, Texas, and now she's gone. Poof. And Edna, when I met, so like I just thank God for the blessing, because when I met Edna, she didn't want to do videos, she didn't want to do this, she wanted to. And I remember when we did a workshop in Miami when she was there doing the stuff, and I see her now. I'm just so happy. I'm really happy.
Yeah.
Even you, Doctor, when I met you, said, "Well, I want to be on TV," and now you're on TV. So every night when I pray, and I pray, and I always thank God for the blessings He has given me, because it's
Right.
not about me. It's about
Yep.
we have so many
Yep.
gems in our communities. Just like just taking them. So I always ask people, you guys know what I said. I said, "What would you like to do? What do you want to do?" And I believe in the 6 degrees of common ground. In my 6 degrees, I know I have someone who could help someone who could help someone. And that's it. It's not about me. It's about all the connections I have, and I thank God for those blessings. So I just sit down. I'm just happy we are now at this point in our relationships with everyone, that we could bring more people in and show the global community what we can do when we put our hands in each other's hands.
Yeah. And I think, to your point, there's a lot of mindset shifts. And so for people who are listening, if you're saying try, we highly encourage you take try out and just do. Right. I forget who it was that says try to stand up. Either you do or you don't. Right. But there is no try. Either you do or you don't. And every little bit helps. If you're changing the way that you're eating, if you choose to eat a piece of fruit every day, you still may eat your chips, but you've added that piece of health and wellness into your life. If you cut down on, if it's coffee, I know some people don't want to drink as much coffee as they were doing. It may not be that you're cutting all of it. Maybe you just take 1 cup away. If you're going to bed earlier, maybe you're still going to bed after midnight, but if instead of it being 1 o'clock, you're going to bed at 12:30. So Ruby, we know you be hanging on, because we know this is a stretch for you to be up right now. But you just add in those pieces of health and wellness all the way. And I mean, that's your zone. What do you have to say about that?
Well, I totally agree with you, but there's something else I'd like to share with the group. I don't know if many know this part of my story. I grew up in foster care most of my life. So I never was a part of a true family. And most of my foster parents were relatives, but they let it be known in the beginning. They got a check from me. I was older than their kids. I was a babysitter, and I knew how to cook. Okay. So knowing how to cook was my saving grace in a lot of situations. Also, I had a serious stuttering problem. And so of course, I did not want to say anything to anyone. So I was always told I was ugly, I was dumb, I was stupid, I would never be anything, and the only way I would make it is on my back. And those were the things that I was told growing up. So you can imagine me not wanting to be in front of a camera or anything. The other side of that is I'm a giver and a helper and a server. I always want to help others and do for others. And when I realized that there's such a great health disparity among our people, and just looking at a food label is filled with lies, and I'm thinking I need to figure out a way to help, especially our people. I would love for the truth to be out there. But at the same time, in the back of my mind, I'm stuttering. I'm not, camera ready.
Not that the camera went black.
Exactly.
She's a camera ready.
We done. See, we talk about the power of the word. Be careful what y'all say. I know the audience is like this.
I'm like, what?
Edna, you may have to go out and come back in. We're gonna come back to that.
Oh my goodness.
Let's see. Let me see. Let's see if she
Oh,
went back. Edna, you might have to exit and then come back in. So I'll see when you're ready behind. I think it's her internet went out. All
okay.
right. Ooh, that was All right, y'all. We got hot mics tonight. We got to be careful about what we say. So for people who are saying, "Oh, let me think about what it is that I want in my life," I'm telling you that portal is open. Now is the time. Go ahead, brother.
That's right.
Like when Ruby was talking about how we met, and we always joke about how she came from Washington D.C. up to Pennsylvania, and she didn't know who I was from a hole in the wall. And I think that's a powerful message. When we look at that message, is that if you truly want to do something, if something's put in front of you, don't just throw it to the side because you're not sure. Find a way to make sure you look at it from different angles, because you never know what is stopping you from doing it. Might just actually be a blessing waiting for you to uncover yourself.
Yep, that piece that was missing.
Yeah. So she rightfully, as a woman, she rightfully questioned coming to Philadelphia because she knew who I was. So I just introduced her to another woman in her area who was coming up also. Now the two of them might not have been coming with the same mindset, but they were still coming to the same place. But you know what? The thing is, even though the mindset had been different, the goal of coming to Philly was the same thing. And I think we have to remember that. Look to see what was going to help you get to the next level. It might not take you to the full length of the journey, but it might take you to step number 3 or step number 4. And I think for me, when I talk to the women, I said, listen, my wife and I always tell my wife, I always introduce myself to what I'm doing. My wife and I are doing this. My wife, because for a lot of women, give them a little sense of ease. I'm not trying to, get behind them or whatever. Like this, he's doing this with his wife. And then the next thing I usually do is send them my wife's website. I said, check my wife out. And then sometimes I send them my website because I want them to get comfortable, because my thing is, you have a gift. And how do we include your gift into the journey that we're in? And to make you comfortable with your gift and let you know you do have a gift. Some women are not told they have a gift. Some people are not told they have a gift.
Right.
So when you ask them, they look at you like a deer in the headlights. And I'm like, so I usually say, what do you like to do? Ruby liked to write. So I wasn't looking to write no books and Sisters in Harmony. But after we asked the women to write a paragraph about why they're a survivor, and I told Ruby, I said, all these things are because more than a paragraph. And she looked at it, and then she came back about writing a book. That was so it wasn't.
I asked.
She asked, and I was like, and she knew I wasn't going to say no, because I am not going to block someone's blessing, because I'm not a writer. I like writing, but I'm not a writer. But she was a writer, so I said, go ahead, go for it. And like this, what tools do you need?
And Brother Moser, let me say this, right? And I hope people are hearing the power of inspiration, the power of encouragement, the power of support, right? You never know whose words are going to impact you. And there's a difference when somebody says it. I know people tease me about dragging them and encouraging them forcefully and lovingly to do things. But it is that same thing where you have this inside of you, whatever this is, and it is a gift for someone else. It's naturally a talent for you, but your talent is a gift to someone else.
Yes.
And it is so important that you release and share that gift. And under that gift may lie other gifts. But we don't get a chance to get to those if you don't take care of the
Uncover the
first
first
layer.
one.
That's right. Uncover the first one. And I'm gonna flip the mic on Brother Emoja at this point because when I met him, his focus was photography. And then it was time for him to expand beyond photography and move into videography. And there was a slight hesitation there. And the powers that be did what, Edmund? And then we got to get back to Edna now that she's back on screen. But what did they do?
You know, my wife is funny. You know,
Yeah,
when
I am.
when it comes time when God calls you to do something and you hesitate or you don't do, one or two
Mhm.
things going to happen. Either God's going to come in and push what you like out the way so it's not there anymore, or God's going to come in and show you why you should do it.
Right.
And in my in my situation, God came in and took my camera. I had 3 working cameras, and within weeks they all broke.
Oh wow.
Mm.
And I was
All
like,
of them.
all of them broke. I was like, okay, okay? So I had to go back, and I was told I was supposed to help her build a stage, and I was not doing that. And I didn't, but I didn't understand the message, but I wasn't doing it anyway. And so then I had to go and help her build the stage. Now I was not told where to build the stage, how to build the stage, how big or what. I was just told to build the stage. And as I started to build the stage for her, it got bigger and it got more, and the message became more clearer.
Mm.
So for me, it was like, we talk about faith and taking walking in blind faith. It's just like, if God tells, if you, whatever name you call that entity, God, Allah, whatever you call that entity, if you hear that message, do this, just do it. Because the God we serve is not a God of trickery. It's not a God of oops. It's a God that loves us.
Exactly.
And I got to the point I just started doing it, and I helped her build the stage, and it just took off. And now my wife said she used to say I socialize. I said network. She said no, I socialize, and now she says network more than me now. Because she said I don't network, I socialize. Network, and now she says networking more than me, and then she blames me for all the stuff that's coming in.
Let me put this up here because we're gonna pass the mic back to Edna. Love, Miss Edna. She has changed my life. That's from
Amen.
Deirdre.
Thank
Oh. So Edna, you're back on the mic. You disappeared. You said you weren't camera ready, and then you disappeared.
See? No, I felt I wasn't camera ready and I didn't speak well. But at the same time, I knew I wanted to help others. And when I was complaining to the Lord one night, it was like, well, how you think you're going to reach people if you don't start talking or start sharing? And I'm like, oh, okay. So, but then I still just kind of put it to the back and didn't think much about it until someone asked me to do it, and I ended up agreeing to it before I realized what I did. And then after the fact, I was so afraid, like, oh, what am I do? What am I say? And so that's how it really started. But I thank you guys so much for the community that you guys have created, and you continue to build, and having me a part of it and allowing me to reach out and help others.
Yeah, thank you. JJ Hannah said, powerful group. Thank you, JJ.
Because Dr. Walls, when I met Edna, she told me what she did. I knew it was a blessing because I love fruits. And now she was teaching me what fruits to mix to do what I needed.
Yes.
I'm like, how many other people out there have this knowledge?
Right.
You know, we like eating fruits, we might like eating this or that, and then there's fruits that shouldn't be mixed, right? And I'm like, where do you go to get this information? I should say reliable information.
Yes,
Someone you
trustworthy.
trust.
Yes.
And I was like, I know her husband. Now I know her.
Mm-hmm.
Okay, she needs to get out there and put this out there, because there's a lot of people like me who need this information.
Yeah.
And I was like, yes, let's do this.
Yeah. Yes, Ruby.
Go ahead, Ruby.
Okay, Edna, I'm not sure. Maybe I missed it. And if I did, I apologize. But do you ever thought about putting that in a book and selling that book?
And I had nothing to do with that.
Me either. It wasn't me this time, Dr. Ramatal.
Are you sure?
I wasn't typing backstage. It was not me.
I mean, you know, people don't know what fruits to eat together and not to eat together, and
I
things
would buy
like
it.
that.
Edna. I'm just saying I would buy it. Just
I'll
saying.
buy it too.
Yeah.
I'm just saying that the two Lucians here, you know, we buy it too. Because we got a lot of fruits in St. Lucia now.
In Jamaica.
I have
Yeah.
a lot of fruit in my refrigerator.
The setup here.
Just a thought. Just a thought.
We can work on that, Edna. We can work on it.
I
Yeah.
thought about it.
Okay. Well, she
They
thought
say you
about
should
it.
have like 3, 4, 5 streams of income.
Come on. Come
Well,
on.
you know what? Actually, the Bible says have what, at least 7 to 8 streams.
Oh, take it
Let's
up.
do it.
Let's work on
Okay.
Take it up. Now I will say I'm gonna stand up for Edna. Number one, I put her link to her website in the chat room so people can check it out. Edna does have journals, and those
Yes.
journals are inspirational. There's quotes in there, and her journals are unique. Edna, tell them. And I bought it. I had a journal for myself. Somebody saw it. They said, "Oh my goodness, my grandmother would love this," because there's some tracking pieces in there for different aspects, which you can tell them about. And so I ended up gifting it to them, and they loved it. So
Thank
tell them you're welcome. Tell them about your journal.
I have assorted journals that have information where you can track by day and date. There are lines where you can make your comments or your notes if you're using the book for a business meeting or for your personal edification.
Mm-hmm.
I have one journal that I'm still working on for health and wellness. It's just specifically for that, where you can track your weight, your emotions, what your goals are, and have you reached those goals, and just a lot more involved with that.
Does it have blood pressure in there too?
And that's part of the planner. You can track your budget, your blood pressure, your weight. And I think maybe not in this year, but typically I even have an area where you can keep track of birthdays and important dates for you and the family as well.
Yeah.
So that is, all those are in place. And then there are a couple other special projects I am working on. And there's one project where I'm working on an animated health and wellness video with children in the dojo, and we know where that comes from, okay? In the dojo, but they're talking about fruits and vegetables and wellness. So I have first script here. So I'm working on that.
Yay.
And so I am doing some other things, and I'm trying to come up with new ways of expressing and extending health and wellness, and also trying to reach the young people as well as the elderly people.
Yeah, and everybody in between.
And everybody in between.
Yeah.
Dash is very important.
And for people who don't know, Edna, like I said, her the link to her website is in the chat. It is the Health Zone FL, the number 4u.life, where you will see supplements that she has. She has detox teas. She also has an assortment of flavored sea moss, which is fantastic. She makes it herself.
Yes.
She has flavored applesauce that she makes with sea moss, the saucy mossy. You have to go through all of her pages because there's something on there. And she has homemade protein bars that she makes. There's a variety. So Edna, I mean, and she even has more things that are not on the website. The website can't keep up with her. So so we encourage you, contact her. You can send her emails, you can call her. She has a wealth of knowledge that she is open to sharing. And Edna also provides lifestyle coaching to help you through. She has a weight loss program or getting rid of weight program called the Kaizen Improvement Program that actually works extremely well, and you eat the entire time, and she supports you via text messages, providing recipes and so forth. So here is someone who has found her niche in health and wellness. It may not look like everybody else's, but it looks like hers.
Yes.
And she's expanding her YouTube page and her Instagram page, her social media presence, her TikTok page, and she's
TikTok.
building. Yeah, look, all of that.
I'm working on it.
Yes.
No, and Dr. Walt, let me say this for those people who are listening about Edna.
Hmm.
If you just have a question, text her, email, because last week there's a sister who's in Kadaga who's
Hmm.
going through chemo.
Yeah.
And she was telling me, I didn't say nothing until she just said, I need to find someone about my health. I want to change the way I eat on my diet. I said, really? I said, I have someone for you. I said, my nutritionist. And I gave her, I said, listen, so I called Edna. I said, what number can I give her? Edna said, give her this number. And she called Edna, and then she called me the next day, or day after. She said, thank you so much. Edna tore my diet apart. So, and I just finished talking to this a few hours ago, and she is really ready to look at how she eats and what's going on with her body, because she doesn't want to keep on this chemo and doing what she's doing. She wants to look at. So I'm saying that for people who's out there who, if you're just thinking about it, that's fine. Just send her an email.
Yep.
Send her an email, but you never know what's going to come back. Once you take that first step,
Yes.
you never know.
Yes.
Never know. But let's take that first step and get in
Yeah.
contact.
And it's so important because as we're looking to change our lives for the better, there are different stages to change. There is the contemplation stage when you're just thinking about it. There's the preparation stage where you're gathering information. Then there's the action stage when you're actually going to do it. So sometimes it just may be a phone call, as Brother Mo just saying, just to get the information, you may not be ready to implement it, but at least you have it. And it may yield additional questions where you have to call back again and go, okay, let me get clarity on this part. Edna, anything you want to say to any of that?
I agree. And there are steps and phases in our lives. And I'm here to help you where you are.
Yeah.
No judgment. We just start where you are and we move forward.
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm. And so, Dr. Ramantal, what's going through your mind?
No, I was going to say that's the best way, or the best approach and strategy is meeting people where they are.
Mm-hmm.
A lot of times, at least when it comes to health and wellness, people are turned off if you say, no, you have to do it this way. No, and they judge you on what you eat, what you take, what you think.
Mm-hmm.
It's very nice to just go in and say, where are you?
Yeah.
And it's the incremental steps, much like when you said, if you have trouble sleeping, you usually go to bed 1:00. Now you're starting at 12:30. Okay, it's 30 minutes. It's something. It's small, but small steps lead to really big gains. So I
Yes.
love meeting people where they are, particularly when it comes to health and wellness.
Yeah.
Dr. Walls?
Yes, darling.
One thing I have to say that we haven't touched on, and she's quiet about it, is I'm going to put a spotlight on Ms. Burke.
Yes.
She has become an inventor.
Oh, yes. Thank you.
She has become an inventor because she saw something as a woman. She saw something that was needed in the community, and from that, she did something with that. What she saw, she made it. She made a reality. She made it real. So she is an inventor, right, Ruby?
Almost.
Almost.
Do you have a patent
You
yet,
are.
Ruby, or are you in process?
I do have a patent.
Mhm.
I just need a manufacturer for it. it and ladies, it's shoes. It's for I found this material when I went to Mexico, and it's for women when you're people with diabetes or pregnant women when your feet swells. You have to wear a different pair of shoes for different times. This way, these shoes, when you put your foot in, it goes with your foot. When you
Wow.
take your foot out, the material goes back. So you'll have the shoes all the time.
Miss Inventor.
Look at that, sitting in the cut.
Mm.
Come on now.
Mhm.
So
That
And
is
you know,
Yeah.
fantastic. Thank you,
and
Brother
Dr.
Moses.
Walls, yeah, I
Yeah.
had to say it because sometimes I stop and I think about it. I said, she invented this, and she was inspired from what she saw, and this Sisters in Harmony pushing her to go to the next step, take the next step, and all of us have it in us. So
Yeah.
I had to pull that out of her because she doesn't talk about it a lot, but I
Yeah.
still got to pull it out of her.
Yeah. I
Yeah.
think, go ahead, Ruby.
One thing I'll say, to everyone, not you all, because you all know, but to everyone listening, some people wait for a safe space or all your ducks to be in a row. Sometimes you have to make your own safe space
Come on.
and be able to go on and take that leap of faith and just take a chance, because you have to believe in yourself.
Yes.
Because if you don't believe in you, there's no way you can get anybody else to believe in you. You have to believe in yourself first.
That's
You
right.
have to at least think you can do it.
Yeah.
Other people may push you out there, but you have to at least think you can do it and want it enough to try. Yeah.
Thanks. Thank you. Thank you. So important because, like when Brother Emoji, when we met and he said to me, he said, "What do you want to do?" And I told him one of my goals was what I've known since I was 8 years old, was that I was to be on TV and to teach people how to be themselves. Right. That was a message that was given to me. It was clear. I understood my assignment, and it was just a matter of when. So when he asked me, there was no stuttering, stammering, confusion. This is what I want to do. And he was like, "Well, I can offer you radio at this point. Are you interested in that?" And I was like, "Sure, I'll accept it as a gift," because I didn't know if that was the pathway too. And then after he received his divine instructions and all the cameras broke because he was slow to move, um, and then opted to be obedient to the message. Then he started training me to be on camera and coaching me and getting me guests, and the birth of Dr. Walls and Friends came in 2012. I mean, and I don't know how many videos we have in interviews that I've done from now to then. So now when people see me and they're like, "Oh my goodness, you're so good at this." It's like it's 13 years in the making. We've been doing this on the spot at martial arts tournaments, at Bob Marley concerts, in honor of Bob Marley, and all types of. I've interviewed on red carpets. I've done so many things over the years. But he
Even
heard
Africa.
me, even in Africa, right? He heard me, and he said, "This is what you want to do. Then this is what," and I'll bring my knowledge to it. I need you to watch your eyes. I need you to understand this is your camera. I need you to pay attention to this. I need you to understand this is the soft side and the strong side of your face. Like he brought information to me and helped me build my skill set. So when you are clear about messages that you received, even when you have an interest in something, you make it known to people. When they
Right.
ask you, tell them, because you don't know who knows who and who can help you
Yeah.
with something.
Yes.
And early on, he said a mindset change, and that is that it is not 6 degrees of separation, it is 6 degrees of common ground. If we shift our mind to know that within our 6 people that we know, someone can connect me to somebody else. If we think about it that way, then all of a sudden all possibilities seem possible.
Right.
If we think about it from a separation standpoint, then it seems impossible.
Yeah.
right? So we just have to shift. It's a matter of moment. It took me over 10 years to find an illustrator to create The Adventures of Froggy T and Bunny. But that story was written back 2010. I didn't find the illustrator. I didn't get my illustrator until 2020. But
Wow.
every time somebody would tell me they could draw, they would show me a picture that, you know what came out my mouth? Can you illustrate my book? I got a children's book. Can you illustrate my book? I was interviewing a martial artist for a school who said they wanted a karate program. I went to go experience this person's teaching myself because I'm not going to take you to a bunch of kids if you don't know what you're doing, right? So let me see how you treat me before I take you to some children. And in the process of him teaching me, he got a text message from his wife. And he said, "Look what my wife did," and it was an animation. Here I go. Can she draw pictures? Can she be my illustrator? He was like, "What? I got to show this book. Help!" Right? I would ask anybody because I wanted that to become real. Now here I am, 5 books later. The Adventures of Froggy T and Bunny got a whole life. They got blanket, they got cups, they got mugs, they got journals, they got water bottles, they got pillows, they got everything. Right?
Bunny's behind you.
They got, I put Bunny up there earlier. They have a store, right? These are things that I did not think that I would have, but in the process of doing what was inside of me and having that come to pass, all of a sudden here, all of this is a whole universe of Froggy T and Bunny. When I 6th grade, when I said I wanted to become a psychologist, I had never met a psychologist before. I didn't know one, but I was very clear. I was locked in to that's what I wanted to do. And I held that until it became manifest. And then all these other pieces unfolded. So we encourage you. It doesn't matter how old you are. Ain't nobody on this call under the age of 20. All right. But yet we all are, because we are the culmination of every age that we've ever been. So that younger version of ourselves that still has those dreams, like I said, I was 8 years old when I said that I wanted, well, when I received that message that I was to be on TV. Now here I am, X number of years later, and here's this platform called YouTube, where I don't have to wait for a call from CBS or NBC or ABC to invite me onto their platform. I can create my own platform. I can have my own guests, which is why I got all these different shows, because it is a matter of making sure that I am true to the message inside of me and that word does not come back void.
Yeah. No, I just want to thank all you ladies because, the 4 of you that's on here. And I always say to people, I always tell, there's a little girl somewhere looking at you all, and you guys are the person that she sees that makes her believe in herself. And we have to remember that, because we are teaching the future, which is our children, how to be great. Dr. Evans has his book, something about
be great.
Be great. Tell them they're great. Be great. And so if we don't tell them that they're great and it's inside of them and show them, who's going to do it?
Yeah.
So thank you. So thank you, ladies, for doing a great job.
Well, Brother Mojo, we thank you for bringing us together.
Absolutely.
Right. For listening to that inner call, because to receive a call that says create a women's organization as a man, right? And to respectfully create it and to make sure it was a safe space for women to actually network and not socialize. but
who put me? I always tell people, who put me in a spiritual headlock to push sisters and help me forward was my vice president. And she's right over there, Ruby Burke, because she. And I was, truthfully, I probably would not have done it, but that's why it's good to listen, because I had the idea, and then she came and she was like, she put me in a spiritual headlock. And like, let's do this. We could do this. And listening to her tell me we could do this made me want to do this. I just needed to hit 1 or 2 times and then let's go. And all of a sudden, at our high point in Sisters in Harmony, we had over 800 members globally. And and that's because we just listened to the word, because it got to the point, and people don't realize that I used the first Sunday of the year for a few years, Ruby, I used to go down to her house and go to her church, because I said I wanted to start off with God. So I used to drive down to her church on the first Sunday of the year. I used to go to church with her, because I figured we were the president and vice president. We were the leaders, and we had to set the example.
Right.
And I used to go to her church. We did that like 3 or 4 years, and I think 3 years we did that. It was really good. And I think it has set the tone for Sisters in Harmony to where we are now with Sisters for Harmony.
Well, I am super excited. I put some links in the chat room for people. There is the link to Kadaga, which is the official web series of Sisters for Harmony, which is about eliminating human trafficking in all of its forms. We work with between 6 or 8 different countries in Africa. We work with about 4 countries in the Caribbean, and we work with individuals in about 10 to 11 different states within the United States.
And now we have Maryland.
And now we have Maryland, yes. And so we work with individuals who are interested in filmmaking. Some people have not ever acted before, and this is their first experience. And we also have seasoned actors and actresses as well, people who are interested in working behind the cameras as well, creating opportunities for people to tap into this skill set. So many times people grew up with an interest and a desire, but they were told that it was a hobby and not a worthwhile lifestyle and so forth. And so for some, it's been a dream deferred, which is now an opportunity to step into a safe space. So as we're talking about morphing how Sisters in Harmony, Sisters for Harmony presents itself, this is one of those ways in which it presents itself. Here is a safe opportunity for people to join this movement, right? Although Kadaga is a drama that we create, human trafficking is a real issue, right? And we create an opportunity to have a conversation about it. We do not do sex scenes. We do not do hard, extensive, gory violence or so forth. There's enough shows that do all of that. We don't need to do that. But we do need to create a series where families are able to talk about these topics with each other, with their children, with their teenagers, to know that this is a real thing. We work with agencies like the Department of Homeland Security to, we get their materials. We talk with people, detectives, and so forth. We even talk with individuals who, unfortunately, this has been a part of their life experience, whether it be that they have been victims and or family members. So this is, again, something that unfortunately Brother Moja and I have had the experiences with, either via clients where he has worked security, and or I have had clients where this has been the reality. So it's an opportunity for us to provide that networking, provide that education, provide that mentoring, and so forth. And it's a way to utilize that creativity, because we know that utilizing creativity is also a healing way, a healing space, a healing form of wellness. For more information, I'm gonna let you jump in for a moment, Brother Moja, as we get ready to close out. But for more information about Sisters for Harmony, there is the link in the chat room. You can see it. It's the last link that I put in. There's also an opportunity if you would like to donate. You can click on that donate button. It takes you to our PayPal page. And you'll see a drop-down menu of the different things that you can donate towards. You can buy Froggy Tea and Bunny books, which will be donated to children across the globe. You can donate towards the production of Kadaga, because right now we fund it all ourselves. You can donate to the workshops and panel discussions that we do. We're super excited. We on March 15th here in Philadelphia, we will be doing a panel discussion and showing some films, and it is from moving from drama through trauma to healing. And so we'll be talking about how people have experienced early life trauma, which has led to current life drama, and how to move into healing. And so, like I said, we'll be showing some short films by Demetrius Charles. We'll talk with the filmmaker, but we'll also be talking about the healing aspects that can occur and need to occur. And that's one of several events that we will be doing. So please be sure to stay abreast of our Sisters for Harmony page, which is located on my Ask Dr. Walls page. We have other events coming up, first aid and CPR. We have financial literacy. We have online events. We have in-person events. And right now this is in Philadelphia, but Sisters for Harmony is known to travel globally. So get ready, get ready. We may be showing up near you. All right, Brother Moja, what you have to say?
No, I just I like to thank I'm not going to say his name. I like to thank the detective here in Philly who works with Philly SUV, who put me in touch with Blue Horizon, the organization, and that detective was and this is 6 degrees of common ground. I never met that detective, but a gentleman I know who's a retired police officer put me in touch with him. So you talk about 6 degrees of common ground. I never met him, but the gentleman I knew who was a former police officer put me in touch with him, and he put me in touch with Blue Horizons, and they sent us
Which
all
is the program from the Department of Homeland Security.
So as you're saying that, Dr. Walls, is this like we are. I just want people who are listening. We are living what we're talking about. We're not just talking it. We are actually walking the walk. So we're doing the 6 degrees of common ground. And when you started, I promise you, you will see things happen that you will be like shaking your head. Wow.
Yeah. And I want to say, so tonight, the premise of the show was telling our stories. It was creating Black history. And we are doing that. Many times anything that we do today come tomorrow is history. Right. It doesn't have to be 20 years ago, 50 years ago. Tomorrow at this time, this conversation is now history. I mean, literally, as soon as we hang up, it's history. And so, how are we creating history? What are we doing? My thing is, when I come into contact with you, I want your memory of me and that exchange to be a positive one, and preferably a life-changing positive one, because every interaction becomes a memory at some point. So what is that memory that person carries? So we are actively creating our history, our legacy, our dynasty, and so forth. And I think if we move in that level of wokeness, right, in that level of, and that just means being conscious and deliberate and intentional about every action that we take, instead of moving on automatic pilot, and being reactionary as opposed to being decisive. It makes a difference in the way in which we move in our lives. And for my thing is, it's an Abel mindset. In the Bible, there's a story of Cain and Abel. God asks for 10% of your best, right? It's an Abel mindset. So if I take the ABEL mindset and know that I am ABLE, able to give it and do it according to that mindset, then for me, I'm all good. So we hope tonight has been inspirational and motivational and educational and all the shanoles, right? So let's just get ready to go around the room. Any last words of inspiration, Dr. Ramatal? I'm gonna start with you, and then we'll close out with Brother Moja and call it a day.
I would just tell people out there to prayerfully pursue whatever it is that gives you passion, that you hopefully will have more impact on others. I think that's really where what we're here for, to serve others in whatever capacity. Everyone has their different abilities and strengths, but things that do come easy to you, maybe there's something out there that you have been putting to the side. Don't wait any longer. This is your sign to move forward, to push through, and it'll happen. Do not think about any barriers, just push through. These things are given to you for a reason. And a purpose that is bigger than what we see in the mirror. So prayerfully pursue it.
I love it. Edna, you next.
The purpose is bigger than what I see in the mirror. I'm here.
You're here. All right, there it is. Vice President Ruby Burke.
Yes. Find out what you're passionate about and go for it.
Brother Moja.
Remember, we are now celebrating Black History Month, Black Heritage Month. In 5 years, you'll be the history in Black History Month. So go for what you believe in. Make it work for you.
All right. And as always, as I say, God bless you all and continue to live your greatest life. If you haven't subscribed to Ask Dr. Wells 525, please click that button right now. It don't cost you nothing but a finger tap. All right. So until we meet again, God bless and continue to live your greatest life. See you soon.
Good night, everyone.
Bye.
Bye.